Hi, I'm Jennifer Lahl, and I'm here today speaking with Kimberly. Kimberly was a gestational surrogate, and she has a very interesting and unique story that I think our listeners will benefit from hearing. But first, anyway, Kimberly, and Kimberly is not her real name. We've just changed her name to protect some of her privacy, obviously for the reasons that you'll hear when you hear her story. This is a sensitive issue. But welcome, Kimberly, and thank you for taking the time to speak with me and tell me your story.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So for our audience listeners, Kimberly was a gestational surrogate, which means she made the decision to carry a baby that was not biologically related to her for another couple or person. So Kimberly, tell us, how did you come, or why did you decide to become a surrogate or do surrogacy?
I've actually been wanting to do it for a few years. I just have really easy pregnancies and deliveries, and I just wanted to give someone else a chance to have a baby.
And did you see an ad, or did you have a friend that told you about it, or,
How I got connected with the specific agency that I was with. I'm on a Facebook group for the city that I live in, and a lady from actually a different city posted in there about surrogates, and I just messaged her and kind of talked to her, and then she filled out an application for me, and about an hour later, that agency called me.
Wow, so that was fast.
So it was really fast.
I like to ask women, first, I'm assuming you were a commercial surrogate, so you were paid.
Yes.
Versus altruistic. And how much was the money? How much did that factor into your decision to do this?
It had a high factor, definitely.
And why is that? Just because you needed the money, or?
Needed the money. I have 2 kids. Well, I had 2 kids already. I was living at my mom's house. So I really needed help.
Good. Do you mind saying how much you were paid for your contract?
Like including everything?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it was about $45,000.
Yeah. So you said that, within an hour you got a call from the agency. How soon after that initial call did you finally get matched with an intended parent, a couple that you were going to carry a baby for?
Probably about 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh, so that's pretty quick.
Yeah, it was really quick.
And did you have any say in who you were going to be matched with? Were you going to be matched with an international couple, a U.S. couple, a same-sex couple?
They asked me questions like what I was comfortable with, but also from hearing and from another lady that wanted to work with my agency pretty much told her that they only work with international couples because American couples are more cheap and don't want to pay as much.
So American couples are more cheap.
Yeah, that's what she said, that international couples are willing to pay more. So that's pretty much the only people they work with.
So you were matched with an international couple then?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, okay. So you were matched in just a very short period of time, a couple of weeks. And then did you start immediately with the medications to prepare your uterus for the embryo?
So my agency kind of did it a little backwards. Usually they do like the medical screening, all that first, and then matched you. Mine matched us and then did that whole process. So I had to do like the medical screening. I had to do talk with a therapist for like a psych eval, and all of that. And then I started the medication process.
Mm-hmm. And how long was that period of time from all that evaluations?
About 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
So it was all pretty quick.
And then the embryo, did they transfer one embryo?
They transferred one embryo, and then it didn't stick. Mm-hmm. And then 2 months later, they transferred another embryo.
And that one did.
That's the one that was supposed to stick, but obviously
Okay. And was the embryo from the intended parents that were international, was it their own biological baby, their egg, their sperm?
Yes, that's what they said.
Okay. So you were carrying their genetic, because sometimes it's a same-sex couple, sometimes it's a couple that's got infertility issues, so they've used a donor egg. So, but it was their child.
Yes.
And so once you were pregnant, and this was last year, this all happened in 2020, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So once you were pregnant, since you'd already had 2 pregnancies of your own children, was your pregnancy otherwise normal compared to those pregnancies? You were healthy, you felt good, no complications?
Yeah, the only thing, no complications. Just like being pregnant, I had a lot of food aversions, but the only issue was that the whole time from the beginning, I was always measuring further ahead than I was supposed to be. So like even my first ultrasound, I was a couple weeks, I was measuring 2 weeks ahead. And I kept bringing that up and asking like if that was an issue, if something was wrong. And they just told me, no, that's normal.
Okay. Interesting. And did you have your other children vaginally, or did you have C-sections?
Vaginally.
And so were you planning to deliver this baby vaginally as well?
Yes.
Yeah. And were the intended parents planning to be in the country around the time of delivery?
When we first matched and decided everything, yes, but due to COVID and stuff, they were not able to be there.
And how long after the baby was born were they able to come to the U.S.?
They actually never met the baby. They never had the baby. It was with a guardian of their choosing.
Okay, so let's fast forward then to where your story, I hate the way the surrogacy world says journey, your pregnancy, but you gave birth. It was a normal vaginal delivery, went into labor, and then what happened? Walk us through what happened when you gave birth.
Okay, so I gave birth, and they told me originally, like in my papers, it does say that I get an hour with the baby. And the family had also told me, or that day, that the baby could stay in my room. And as soon as I had the baby, they took the baby. It was still in my room, but like it was on the complete other side, and I was not able to see the baby. My mom was in the room with me, and she did take pictures. Then the nurses were just commenting on how the baby did not look Asian at all. They actually thought the baby was a full Caucasian baby, because he didn't look, I mean, he was blonde. He didn't look anything different. So right before the nurses took the baby, there was one nurse that told me that she would let me say bye. So I held the baby for about a minute, and then they took the baby out. I didn't see the baby again until 2 days later. I was discharged like the next day. And then about 2 days after that, the intended parents sent me a picture of the baby in a car seat and said like he was going home. They kept him longer because he was having issues and he kept throwing up. So.
And who was he going home with, since the intended parents weren't there?
Their friends
of the intended parents that were in the U.S.
Yeah. That's
okay.
Out here.
Well, let me back up. You said you were supposed to be able to spend more time with the baby upon giving birth, but that wasn't. Why was that not allowed?
Because we couldn't get a hold of the parents. We couldn't get a hold of the person who was going to be taking care of the baby. Nobody would answer. Nobody would let them know. And because I was a surrogate, they told me that they had to hear from other people that I like was allowed to, even though I had it in writing. So they just wouldn't let me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So a few days after the baby's born, it was a little boy.
Yes.
He went home with strangers, but friends of the intended parents, but strangers,
Yeah.
who we hope. And then what happened?
So, okay, when they first sent me the picture of him going home, it kind of eased my mind because I was told that, like, because he looks white, I was told that, like, sometimes they do lie about using other people's eggs and stuff. But when they sent me a picture of him when he was going home, he did kind of look Asian. Like, his hair turned black. He looked a little Asian. But my daughter also looked Asian when she was born, and she is white and black. But she did. She still kind of does a little bit. So I just saw the picture and was like, okay, he might be theirs. So about a little less than a month later, the intended parents sent me a picture of him. And I just knew he was not theirs. He was this little boy who had curly hair, a little light brown, kind of like a reddish tint to it. Like, he was just definitely not Asian. So I asked the agency, I just responded to them and said, he's so cute, because I didn't want to say anything quite yet. I asked the agency what his ethnicity is supposed to be, and they told me that he was full Chinese. So I decided not to initially say something to them, and I messaged my lawyer, who they hired for me for the whole process. And that lawyer kind of took a couple days to talk to them and figure it out. And then she called me and pretty much just said that we're just going to wait for them to do a DNA test when they have time and they get the birth certificate and all this, which, to me, if it's my baby, that could have been months, especially with COVID.
So this was being initiated by the lawyer to get the DNA testing, or were the intended parents asking to have the baby tested?
Supposedly they had to get him tested anyways to take him out of the country. So they were going to, to them, it wasn't a rush to do it because they couldn't get him till probably January. Oh, anyways. I contacted my lawyer that they hired for me so that I could kind of get a rush, or like I could do it first or something, just to clear my mind, because in my mind it was so many things, like, did they put the wrong embryo? Did, like, so many possibilities. So I wasn't happy with that answer from the lawyer. So I remember hearing the story of Jessica years ago, and I found a way to get in contact with her.
And let me just add, because our listeners won't know who Jessica is. And Jessica, her story is all over the internet. Jessica Allen and her husband Wardell. Jessica got pregnant with an embryo from a Chinese couple, but also through a rare occurrence called superfetation, also got pregnant with her own baby. And it was because of the racial discrepancies at birth that these two little babies, one looked Chinese and one looked, Caucasian and African American. So that's Jessica. So you reached out to Jessica.
Jessica, yes, I found her.
And you still didn't have your baby?
No. And I still hadn't spoken with the agency, just because I just wanted to do everything the right way and have my lawyer do it. But I could tell that my lawyer was on their side. I mean, she gets a lot of business from them. So
from the agency.
I knew, yes.
Yeah.
So I knew that she wasn't going to push too hard. And if this is my baby, I need my baby. So then I messaged them and I just said, like, I know the lawyer has reached out to you. Like, I would like a DNA test. They took a while to reply. A lot of them weren't replying. There was like 5 people I was trying to message in like a group chat. A lot of them were just ignoring me, telling me that the mother thinks that it looks like the husband when he was a baby, and that they want to get the baby DNA tested when they get the birth certificate, which could be a couple weeks. So then that's when I reached out to Jessica. And she put me in contact with her lawyer. So I contacted him, and he was like, pretty much let me know, like, oh, I'm going to look over your case, look over all your paperwork, and let you know if I can work with you. He did it. And I think within less than 24 hours, he let me know, like, yes, I do want your case. But also, again, because of the way paperwork is worded and because of certain things, like, it is, of course, possible to not get your baby back. But luckily, after a while, we did. But it took a while. It took the lawyers, till the very last day to respond. He gave them like a time frame, respond by this date. They waited till like that date, to respond. And finally, they did let me do a DNA test. But the family, when I got all the paperwork back, the family had already done 2 DNA tests.
Wow.
Yeah, they did one, and then they did another one right before I did mine.
But you weren't made aware of those tests.
No, I was aware of the second one because no matter what, the parents wanted them to be tested first, they were saying, but I was not aware of the first one, no.
And so the baby had 3 DNA tests, and all the DNA tests showed that
they were not the parents and I was. And
you were the mother, and is the baby's father your husband or partner? Or?
Partner, yes.
Yeah. So the baby was clearly your baby.
Yes.
And this is how long since the baby's been born that you finally found out that this was your baby?
It was almost exactly 2 months.
2 months. And so for 2 months, the baby is with the intended parents' friends.
Yes.
Yeah. Your camera has froze.
Okay, so did yours. I wasn't sure. Okay, there
you go. Now you're back. Wow. So 2 months. Did you already think that this was your baby anyway?
Not when I had the baby, because my 2 daughters looked very similar when they were born. They were really, you could tell that they were partially Black. Mm-hmm. They just looked different than this baby did when he was born. I thought that there were so many things going through my head that either they ended up using my egg with his sperm, or they used, they mixed up and used the wrong, someone else's embryo, or I don't know, or maybe they just didn't want to be honest about the embryo, like whether or not it was their actual embryo, because she was also older. So, I was just thinking so many things. But once they sent me the picture when he was almost 1 month old, I knew for sure that he looked like my daughter. Like, I sent the agency pictures of my daughter and him next to each other, and it's literally twins. Like, no. And she, one of the ladies from the agency, she wouldn't really message me much. She ignored me a lot, but when she did, she would like to talk on the phone. And I wish now that I did everything through only messages, so I would have it. But she told me that she told them that it's not their baby and that it doesn't look like them and it's not Chinese, but that they believe that it's theirs. And this was before, she didn't say anything to me, but she said that whole time she was telling them like it was not their baby.
Wow. Yeah. So when you found out proof DNA that was your baby, what did you think and feel? And
well, before I got the DNA test, I knew, like, once I saw his pictures and like putting him next to my daughter, like going back and seeing, I'm like, there's no way that's not. So the test kind of just confirmed it, but I called my mom and just pulled up the results and was just crying. But
I'm sorry.
The days like leading up to it, And like when like I got the pictures and stuff, like I was sick to my stomach. And it's just so sad. And like how easily it could have gone unnoticed, you know? And it's just like frustrating.
How long after did you finally get your son? And how did, I mean, Jessica literally was given her son in the parking lot, I believe, at a Starbucks.
They made me meet them at a police station.
Like that day or?
No, I was told I would get the baby the same day, but of course, once I got the results, like, I don't know, they couldn't meet anymore. And the whole time I was saying, like, I would pay for DNA tests, I would drive there, I would do whatever I would, but it was all on their terms. So I got the baby the next day. I think, I want to say it was around like 10 o'clock in the morning, but they did make me meet at a police station. They recorded the whole time. They like recorded everything, like me putting him in the car. I had to show my ID.
Video recorded.
Yeah.
No. Was your attorney with you then?
No.
So you went
I was by myself, just me and my two daughters.
Yeah. And what did that feel like, getting your son back?
I couldn't wait, but in that moment, like, because they drove, I mean, it was like 6 or 7 of them, and then it was me by myself, and then they were recording me, so it was really, really uncomfortable. And you know, it was just like a really emotional, like, and I just wanted to get him and leave. Like, I didn't even want to, like, you know, sit there and enjoy him. Like, they literally recorded me, like, putting him in the car seat, driving off, everything.
Why do you think they recorded that? That they think that
I don't know.
Feeling the baby?
Yeah, like, I don't know. I wasn't going to do anything. Like, I'm just trying to get him, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wow. So do they think now, looking back, that you were just actually pregnant at the time of the embryo transfer?
I believe so, yes, because the whole time I was measuring further along.
Right.
And like with my kids weren't like huge babies. So I do believe that I already was. And like they didn't give me my last pregnancy test. And they also, I guess they're supposed to do an ultrasound at the transfer. And they didn't do that either time.
So when you say they didn't give the last pregnancy test, you mean before they did the embryo transfer?
Yeah,
they did.
Like I think like a week before they gave you a pregnancy test, and they didn't. The lady was just like, "Oh, all of them have been negative. Don't worry about it."
Mm-hmm. So I can just imagine, because of my thoughts about how the fertility industry operates. Did they try to blame this on you? Did they say you have to give all the money back?
They haven't spoken to me since I hired my new lawyer.
The agency.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or the parents. They have not spoken to me. I have not tried to speak to them either. But before they like my lawyer, my second lawyer contacted them, they did tell me like they probably would. But so far,
yeah.
You know.
And if you can't answer this question, to say I can't speak to that. But what is your lawyer? What's the basis of your lawsuit?
I don't think I can speak.
Okay, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. And you've had no contact, you said, at all, the intended parents, from almost literally when the baby went home and you got that one picture that they sent you. That's the last
that's the
contact that you've had with them.
I was going to message them. I did tell the agency that if they didn't contact me back, that I was going to take it straight to the parents, because, you know, I understand it wasn't a rush situation for everyone else, but for me, it was. So, and then of course, that's when the lady was like, finally like, okay, let me call you. But no, from then I haven't heard from anybody. but I got a Facebook friend request from one of the ladies that works or used to work at the agency, but I just denied it and left it alone.
Mm-hmm. I'm just curious, how's your son doing now? Is he seem to be?
Yes, he's the best. He's the happiest, cutest little baby.
Yeah. And what are your thoughts about surrogacy now?
I definitely would never do it again. I just think that people need to be aware of everything and be very careful and pay attention to every little detail. Like, don't let anyone, like, the whole time I was measuring further along, and like I kept like I had to do extra ultrasounds. I had to get testing done because like this baby's huge, but it's because I really didn't get pregnant when they put the baby in. And like, obviously that's an issue, you know. I don't know, just pay attention and figure it out, and, you know, trust in your gut. And if you feel something's wrong, then, you know, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they brush so many things under, and thank God that he would have had to go to China, because had he been a baby that just was a couple in Florida or something, they wouldn't have had to do the DNA testing. It would have been so much harder to get him.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess it's also a silver lining that COVID was happening then, because the baby couldn't leave the country.
Yes.
And it did buy you some more time to untangle this web. But wow, what a story. What a story. Well, I'm sure that that this will help other people. You know, I just keep thinking, how can we get to intended parents? Just keep asking them to stop asking women to do this. You know, a lot of my work is, you know, documenting all the medical risks, and, you know, the surrogates who have died literally doing surrogate pregnancy. And, you know, I just keep thinking, when, you know, the industry is going to thrive because it's so motivated by profits. It's a very lucrative field of medicine. But, you know, if we can just reach out to people that are thinking about hiring surrogates and get them to realize you're asking a young woman to perhaps lose her life or her own well-being,
you know,
or her son.
Start everything, that, you know, it's a huge possibility that you'll never be able to have kids again if you later decide to do that.
Yeah. And I just wonder how many other surrogate pregnancies were stories like yours, but because it wasn't a mixed race, you know, like issue. I mean, how many babies literally went home with the wrong mom?
Yeah. Or a surrogate for a mixed couple. I would have just like, oh my God, he's a cute baby, and went about my day.
Yeah. 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 Oh, we've lost your sound. We've lost your sound, Kimberly. We lost your sound. What were you saying?
I don't know what happened.
There you go. You're back. What were you saying at the end?
I just said, like, thank God that, you know, like you said, I am a mixed race couple, and they are Chinese, because it's obviously totally obvious who the baby looks like, you know, and he's literally my twin. Like, he looks just like me. More like, my daughters don't even look that much like me, and he is my twin. And it's just crazy that he could be out there.
Yeah.
With a different family, you know, it's just so sad.
Well, it's a sad story, but at least I'm glad that it ended the way it did.
Yeah.
And your baby's back where he belongs. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me.
Oh, thank you as well.
Thank you.